and welcome to Talking Hats.
I'm Old Man Wolfie.
And I'm Monty Squigs.
We're back from DragonCon.
Woo!
Amazingly enough, we managed to survive this year.
I only got minorly cruddy.
Concord is real. It is dangerous. I don't think it's killed anyone, but...
Finally kicking, if not con crud, just sick and triggered by con crud, but whatever. You know, may as well be.
My diet is more or less returned back to normal. We're still in the process of, we have more or less, I mean, I know that Squigs is finished unpacking because you didn't bring that much.
No, I am very good at packing for the short weekends. I've done a lot of them.
Yes. So as far as that's concerned, at least it was a very strange year though. It's like really felt weird. Not bad. It's not a bad year.
Yeah, I mean, even a bad year is a good year.
A bad year of DragonCon is still better than being at home, but the reality is that the vibe was different, and it's one of those things that I've noticed that DragonCon goers, especially ones who've been there for more than 5-6 years, tend to be very resistant to change. But I think,
as a species, we're resistant to change.
But it's like, it's fandom. Fandom is where you can spot it if you know what you're looking for.
Oh, absolutely.
But what I've noticed was that everyone felt a little off this year. Like, people were still friendly, but it wasn't the overtly friendly, especially the first day or two.
It wasn't the hugging everybody drunk friendly that it's been in past years.
Right. This year, though, everyone was surprisingly polite by Friday. But I'll tell you, on Thursday, I was kind of astounded by the metric amount of like, fluff-headedness of everybody. Because one of the things that I noticed when I had to deal with especially with the hotels, was I have never had to tell people more times at a DragonCon in past that you need to let the people out of the elevator.
Yeah, really.
Before you get into it. Because holy shit, these people were like...
elevator doors open, go in. It's like, back up. Let us get out.
The laws of physics require that we are allowed to evacuate. And then...
Yeah, there was a lot less of the "you're my elevator" family this year.
Yeah, there was. It was really weird in regards to that. That was definitely something I noticed. The cosplay game though this year was on point. It was just insane.
Yeah, I didn't go out as much to people watch as I have in past years. I spent more time down in, honestly, the Hyatt panels because that's where the riding track is.
Poverty does that to you.
Yes, it does. I was purposefully avoiding the dealer's room. Not even going to go anywhere near it. Not even going to contemplate going near it.
The irony of which is that this year, I went to DragonCon and I did not spend nearly as much money as I have in
apparently it wasn't as up to par as it was in the past, and honestly, then I don't feel like I've missed anything.
It's partly that. It was partly the fact that there was also, there was 800,000 Funko Pop vendors, and they need to put a limitation as to how many of the exact same vendor they have.
Yeah, really.
A lot of blind box vendors. That's the easy stuff to bypass. If you're not looking to burn through money, you can just go, oh, you know what?
I can get my blind box fix off of my gacha games. Thank you. I don't need to buy a gacha box in reality.
But there were a lot of crafters and there were a lot of vendors, and they did buy stuff. I mean, I spent money, but nowhere near what I've spent in the past years.
Although I did allow myself one purchase.
What did you want to buy? Did you buy...
Steam-powered giraffes.
Oh,
hoodie.
Right. You did buy that. That's true.
And their concert this year, in addition to not being scheduled for midnight, and then not starting to 2 because DragonCon Tech couldn't fix itself, we got to see a real SPG show, and it was amazing. I mean, their last show was still amazing, but all the bells and whistles. Steve was there this year, so they actually had somebody competent doing their tech.
Right. It was a great show. Mm-hmm. The energy was definitely there. The place was packed.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we got close up to the stage, but once the thing started, you look behind us, just people.
There were people, and what was really nice was that it was. Yes, there was a gap between the seats and the
front of the stage front, but a lot of the seats all the way to the back were still full. Like, it wasn't just like the back was empty and everybody's up by the stage.
Nope. And they were fantastic. It was a really good show. Which was, it was just so nice to see an actual...
Zero got to see his dragon and didn't realize till he talked to Steampunk John later that he wasn't dressed as Toothless. He was wearing Toothless skin, but you know, at least on stage he still got his dragon.
And our friends, our friend Steampunk John managed to traumatize several children.
Several children, because he was basically dressed as the Viking that murdered Toothless and Hiccup. Unfortunately, he had a reproduction of Hiccup's fake leg, and he had it converted into a cup so he could be drinking out of it, but it ended up being under the bed somewhere, I think. He didn't find it all con, but the costume still worked.
Yes, and he tore.
And people are like, "Oh, you're Toothless," and then when they got closer, like, "No, you're wearing Toothless. You're a horrible person." And of course, he just cackles because that's the whole point.
That's the stated goal. It was just such an experience. It was great. We went and did, again, we skipped the masquerade. I mean, excuse me, we skipped we'll get there. We'll get to the masquerade. The masquerade, we'll get there. We skipped the parade because, really, who the hell wants to get up and watch? I love cosplay as much as the next person, probably more, but I do not love the cosplay enough to either get up early enough to see it myself live in the Atlanta sun.
Used to.
Once by now, what? Yeah,
my first DragonCon, did I do that? No. What did I do? I slept in. Why? Because I'm not crazy.
Well, back when for the first couple of years that I did the DragonCon parade, you just basically you walked up the parade route as you got closer to where the parade started. The crowds thinned out to almost nothing. Now it's like the Macy's parade where you have to get there before the crack of dawn. Preferably when the sun's coming up, you might be able to get a spot by the wood.
And even without that, it's like parades. Like, oh, let's go stand out on the side of the street in the middle of the day for 2 hours or more. Why? Why? I've never been much for parades.
Yeah.
I'll watch them from the comfort of my home in air-conditioned and drinking coffee comfortably if I watch them at all.
Now that DragonCon has added the streaming membership, I just skip it and say I'll catch it in reruns. There's so much stuff.
I'll hit it in post.
No, I'll watch it in post. When they've post-corrected it and hopefully...
Although hopefully they don't have the talking heads like they did last year.
Ooh, yeah.
I understand what they're going for. Unfortunately, if you want to do that kind of thing, you need to use talent. They didn't.
Oh, one of my purchases from the DragonCon dealers hall is Wild Bill's all natural sodas. They had a booth where they were selling these mugs and mugs like them, various and sundry mugs like them. This is a double insulated mug, which is why I'm drinking coffee out of it. They charged you for the mug, and you could buy a straw for cold water drinking, and I got a collapsible shot glass and a whole bunch of other stuff. And you got free refills on the soda at the dealer's hall for the entire convention. I don't want to tell you...
any convention thereafter, right?
And any convention... Well, the thing is, any convention thereafter, you pay $5 for either a day or, depending on whether it's a day or event, if like a weekend, like long event, I think you pay $5 for the weekend, and you just keep getting
Which
wine.
is smart. Mm-hmm. Because, like, what most people don't realize is, the cups are expensive. The soda, not as much.
I mean, it's all natural. It was all natural. It was delicious. The biggest problem, of course, being that it was mostly foam. But
technically there's a 2-hour wait to get it. Not because the booth was packed, but because the line management this year for the dealer's hall was apparently subpar.
Actually, no. The in fairness to the volunteers and the people who were running the event, from the time we got into the line for the dealer's room to the time we got into the dealer's room was about 22 to 25 minutes.
That's not terrible then.
The problem is that we covered probably about 7 blocks worth of walking in the process. I'm not necessarily a big fan of walking around buildings up and down hills.
Maybe DragonCon's secret agenda is to make the fat geeks lose weight by making them walk extra miles.
By doing the Bataan Death March? I think that's hardly appropriate in my eyes.
The March of Weebs.
The March of the Weebs, yes.
That's the one thing Area 51 didn't have to worry about. It's like a Naruto run on a thing on 51. Oh, please. They get like maybe, I don't know, 10 feet out in the desert and collapse.
Yeah, probably.
They got nothing to worry about.
The funny thing about the line, though, is that They closed off a side street at the con, which is great.
And they usually do, if I recall.
But usually they don't let people through there. And I would have thought that I kind of understand why they did what they did, because they needed to leave room for allegedly, I think they needed to leave room for the parking garage. So they need to leave a corridor for people to exit the parking garage. Not that the parking garage only has one exit. There are 3 exits to that parking garage.
But it still might be like a traffic rule thing.
But the thing about it was that they created a cattle chute. Here's the thing: you walk down literally 1 block up from the entrance. Now understand, up 1 block up from the entrance.
Well, remember, Atlanta is a hill.
Is especially this part of it. Where
Atlanta is not on a hill.
Okay.
Atlanta is a hill.
But here's the thing: up 1 block from the entrance to the dealer's hall, turn right, walk to the end of that block. Now turn back around, get in line, walk down to the corner you just turned, walk down the hill, get into the little cattle chute, do about 6 loops of that, which only was like 12 feet, the 12-foot cattle chute, but it kept looping around itself like 6 times. Then walk past the entrance to the dealer's hall, walk around the corner walk to the block, all the way down to the end of the block, turn left, walk all the way to the next block, turn left again, walk about, for some reason I still cannot understand, about 20 feet up is the turnaround to get into the line to go back around the block into the dealer's hall. Now imagine doing all that in about 20 minutes. It's fast, but part of your time you get enough time to go, why are we going? Is this like an obstacle course? Are we supposed to parkour? Because there were like large gaps where people wouldn't be paying attention and the line would think, people were cutting lines all the time. People were jumping,
There's gonna be line cutting no matter what you do.
Granted, but the thing is that the other part of the reason why there was line cutting was because nobody was paying attention to keep the line moving.
Right.
And we were doing, like, the fan was doing it. And I had also not remembered to bring my fan, which was what annoyed me the most. But, of course, the other thing is that, like, the joys of getting old, approaching your 50s, is that my hip was not the greatest for this event. And I'm like, limping along going, ouch, 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 ouch. Motherfuckers, these people jumped in front of me. Ouch, ouch. So
I would throw you on the pavement if my hip would let me.
Mm-hmm. Then the other thing was that, like, if they had left most of it in the cattle, if they had left a corridor and then bunched up a bunch of people on the other side of the, like the other side of the corridor, so you could drive past the people, and they just let people go through basically a gap in the cattle chute, and just spread the cattle chute up the block, they could go straight in and not go around past the entrance. You just go straight into the entrance, But and then that way you could also put more people, keeping the saying, they'll go to the end of the line that way, go to the end of the line that way, instead of hopping into the line when it goes in. People were coming from down the other side of the block, just jumping in and bypassing the whole line completely. And it happened a lot. And it's like, yes, again, 20 minutes, not a whole lot of time wasted, but that's a lot of, like, why are we doing this? I filled, let me tell you something, I filled every day I went to the dealer's room, the line alone probably got me all of my circles done for the damn fitness portion on my watch. I was like, really? Then when you get in there, it's 3 floors of vendors, like last year. It was 3 floors of vendors, really, really good vendors, some hilarious vendors this year. The one that struck me as the most, well, this is new, is there was a company doing custom game controllers.
Oh, cool.
And they were ridiculously expensive.
Of course.
And I kept looking at them going, no.
So, how many of these did you sell?
And
not a lot? Oh,
yeah.
Why?
And the other thing was we also completely skipped doing the dealer's hall on Saturday because it was just the crowds.
That's when the day passers descend upon DragonCon like a plague.
It's partly also the people who come in from the day passers, all the parade people who manage to somehow sneak past everyone else. They don't get to the dealer's room, obviously, but they're still like, they're just there, and who the hell wants to deal with that many people?
Yeah, really.
They should legitimately start a secret underground passage during the thing for 4-day pass holders only, who can go underneath go through the back entrance of the Westin to get into the Dales Hall that way. The 4-day pass only people only.
I mean, it's not underground, but yeah, there's a Skybridge pass from the Westin to America's Mart 1 to America's Mart 2 and 3.
Right.
So you can do it. I've done it. But, you get lost easy if you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, you'd have to have more light. We did, but that was, like, again, the vendors were there were some really, really good vendors. And I happened to come across, what I was surprised I didn't see the, I cannot remember the dice. It's one of the dice companies that make the caged dice. Remember the ones? They were at the...
Yeah, I remember. I don't know what they're called.
It's kind of really sad because they make some really great dice. The caged dice are prohibitively expensive, but they're gorgeous. But we didn't see them. But then we had Precision Dice this year. And Precision Dice had some really, really good, well-priced metal dice. And Panda... They had a gotcha machine outside, basically. It's one of those little egg dispenser things. Put in $1 worth of quarters, and something pops out, and you have a 1 in 50 chance of getting
something decent,
a metal dice set. So Panda puts in the first $1 and turns the thing, and it comes out with this little rubber eraser. And then we're like looking at it, and he goes, "I still have 4 more quarters. Should I try?" And I'm like, "Well, why not? It's only $1." So we put the 4 quarters in. Out pops this thing with a slip in it. He opens the slip and it says, "Free, 1 metal dice of your choosing. 1 set of metal dice of your choosing." So he's looking over all the metal dice, and I lean over to him and I'm like, "Are the glow-in-the-dark metal dice that they have for $50 a part of the metal dice thing?" So he's like, "Oh my God, right." Because he had been eyeing them since we got there. And he asks the woman behind the counter, and she's like, "It's metal, so I guess it's acceptable." So
we didn't say no.
So therefore,
we should have, but we didn't.
Exactly. So he got a set of a $50 metal dice for $2.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
That was like getting my D20 rainbow ring dice for $1.
Yeah, for $1.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, this is cute. Let me give me $1. I got a free $1. I'll get a pin out of it. It'll be fun. And I roll natural 20. It's like, oh, yay.
But it was just such a the reason why I say it's a strange year is because I came home and I didn't feel the PCD I come from back from most years where I'm kind of like, oh, it's so miserable. But I think part of that is because I am honestly, it's not that I was done with the con, it's that I'm more already tuning in for next year. I've got like this con actually,
and you're not planning a trip for a whole bunch of people.
Exactly, but this was actually a thing. This is the last year. This past year was the last year that I'm running any sort of multiple rooms. That's it. Done. I've put in nearly 10 years of doing it. So I've been doing this for nearly 10 years. I think I can stop now. I feel bad for anyone left out in the lurch, but unfortunately, there's a limit to how much I'm also getting on in years. I mean, it's like I don't physically have the energy to do what I used to do, and the financial burden. It was the con is not expensive depending on how you do it,
but it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, and the other thing is that if you're not really, really critically aware of what you're spending, how much you're spending in credit card interest, for example, because you have to prepay all the rooms. What that can hit you monthly if you don't pay it all off and if people are slow in paying you back. So by removing 6 people out of that equation, that's 1/2 the trouble I have to worry about.
Your cost goes down by 2/3 because you're only doing one room.
Right. I only have to worry about 1 room. I also have it makes getting that room so much easier when the hotel land grab comes around. I can also fewer people in the vehicle, so it's not going to be the gigantic vehicle. It's not
that they aren't fun to drive.
But the thing about it is that it's the advantage of having 3 potential drivers, whereas before I was just me. Last year it was me and Squigs. Because we were just, this past year, rather, it was me and Squigs, because we said we were a couple, and...
We have to tell people we're not so many times. We have to make use of the fact that people think that.
Seriously. And they, considering we live at the same address, we're both on the same car insurance, so yeah, it was very easy.
It's very easy for them. It's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever.
Oh yeah, this is easy. I was like, so the thing is, at least he could spell me when I was drifting. I downloaded a whole bunch of music and we listened to almost nothing but Sirius
Comedy.
XM, yeah, comedy stuff. Sirius XM comedy the entire ride down and most of the ride back. It's kind of amusing how you plan for things and things
Yeah,
just
it was that and Puffin Forest and Animated Spellbook got us through a lot too.
Yep, we were listening to Puffin Forest and it is kind of funny because in future years, the chance of renting a vehicle is still high because I can't be, I always want to have the backup in case my vehicle fails for whatever reason.
Right.
But
You can just not pick it up and they'll be like, oh, they didn't get it and we didn't lose any money.
Exactly. And the thing is, if the vehicle's fine, or if we can change, we have an option of two vehicles. Depending on how much crap we're actually bringing, we may not need the van, we can probably choose the Soul.
Right.
So that gives us a lot of opportunities to work on stuff that's not everyone else. See, one of the reasons why I don't generally get a chance to record anything, we didn't record, we got some B-roll footage for
A little
this year.
bit, but
It's going to be interspersed in here, or already has been, is because realistically I'm the one in charge of taking care of hotel rooms and making sure that, and this year we got there and the Marriott, I love the Marriott. I love staying at the Marriott. It is a fantastic hotel. That being said, I still cannot, for the life of me, fathom
check-in can still be hell.
Yeah, how you can check in two people, who obviously look like a couple, and give them two separate beds because they got double occupancy. Then when you get 4 people in a room, you want to put them in a king. And then charge them for the rollaway bed. And I was going, no, that ain't happening. Mm-hmm. That is not happening. And then they're like, okay, we can comp that. Or you could upgrade to one of the staycation rooms.
Which are nice.
Which are very nice. We've stayed in them before. They upgraded those to fine. For an additional $380 a night. No. The rooms we were in weren't $380 a night. And the staycation rooms are definitely not worth the double the cost. Mm-hmm. I still cannot believe the audacity. The audacity she had. If she said the rate would go up to $380 a night, I might have actually considered paying the additional $60 or something.
Yeah, that'd be something.
That $60 a night, I could have at least said, okay, well, I can also maybe pay some of that down with points or something.
Like,
nope.
Honey, I know that you're doing this a lot today and tomorrow and the day before. Mm-hmm. But use your head, please. Like understand what you're looking at.
Do we look like we have, do I look like I'm walking in there looking like Rockefeller? I don't recall looking that flush with money. And let me assure you that the way I looked when I got there, I probably looked like death warmed over because we had not only...
The prepaid parking.
The prepaid parking, which turned out to be a great savings of money. However, I parked the parking lot I chose... was full.
The parking lot that had his assigned parking spot
was full. And that's fine.
I mean, they were great about fixing it and finding a parking. Like, it didn't cause any trouble there beyond the
20-minute wait to get a phone call.
The time and the what do we do now and the
And then everyone else, the entire rest of my party is pretty much sitting in the lobby of the hotel going, well, we can't do anything until...
Yeah, we can't check in until the car's parked.
Exactly. So... But the thing is, that was funny because they parked us somewhere actually which was closer to the hotel, and I kind of wish we had been able to stay there, but it actually worked out well either way. Because what's funny was, we went out to have our traditional lunch at Fogo, and when I came back, we had parking spots. There was parking spots there, and I'm kind of like, well, and it worked out great. There were no issues. The car was safe. The car was fine. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, the gigantic van was safe. It was fine.
And there were apparently people breaking into cars over the weekend, so...
Yeah, not ours. There was nothing in it, so...
Yeah, but the damage would have been a frustrating thing to deal with.
Yeah, especially since,
We would have stood to lose none of our valuables, obviously, but it's a rental.
Yeah. I hate dealing with the rental company when we have damage to a vehicle, because even when you have your collision waiver and you get it done through your credit card, it's still...
a to-do.
It's weeks of paperwork. Mm-hmm. And paperwork that don't always sync up. So you have Enterprise on one phone. Like I had Enterprise one year. We had a minor... We got into an accident, kind of. we didn't get into the accident. What happened was is that a car got into an accident and then proceeded to shower our car with all sorts of smudges and like debris and crap. And we had the collision waiver, and that was we waived the collision thing. We're not spending an extra $10 a day. No, that's not gonna happen. Not for as long as because we're only
not for as long as we have it and how much driving we're actually doing on it.
We're only on the road for like less than a third of it.
Yeah, it's like the drive down, the drive back, and the drive to and from Foco. That's it. Other than that, it's parked.
But we had Enterprise on one side and the Discover card on the other, and the two of them were going back and forth as to which car. Like I couldn't. I had all the paperwork had to go through me, which was fun. Because Enterprise would be like, "Where's our paperwork?" And I'd have to go, and then Discover's like, "Well, we need more information from Enterprise about the claim."
Did
and I'm
you ask?
Here's the people. Call them. Stop bugging me about it, please. So, but that was actually just the thing.
It was frustrating, but it didn't. It
saved more than it basically halved our parking cost. Though that's the part that I cannot overestimate enough. Was it halved our parking? That was because our parking was generally over $300 and some odd dollars, sometimes upwards of $400.
As what happens when you try and park an oversized vehicle, whether you're valeting it or not, it's still expensive.
But getting the getting down, the getting back, the getting the vehicle the parking were fine. The hotel, once we got into the room,
once we got in,
was fine. We actually Sapphire Scale was in the other room we were talking about with her and her boyfriend were in a room with 2 beds that they didn't need, and we were stuck with a room for 6 people, with a single king size bed,
which would fit most of them probably.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is that we would like I could have made it work. I definitely could have made it work. That's hardly an issue.
Have to.
Exactly. The kicker, of course, is that we had to swap rooms. So we had to actually go downstairs and have, after the initial kerfuffle, because I was like, I just want to get in the room and lie down for a nap for a little bit, because, we had been driving almost all night, and we got into the hotel later than I was, the fun part is if we had gotten there perhaps an hour and a half earlier, we probably wouldn't have had that problem, and
maybe.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Because we arrive on Wednesday. So next year,
we gotta arrive on Tuesday.
Next year we're gonna arrive on Tuesday. Ain't that a
because they extended the con a day.
Tuesday is the new Thursday.
We used to joke about that. Now it's true.
It's genuinely turning into a con that's a week long, and I love it. I do love it. I will not say that I don't love it. I'm just like,
they should just bite the bullet and change the dates instead of going over the weekend from Thursday to Monday. Just do Monday to Friday. Sunday or Sunday to Saturday or whatever have you. Probably Monday to Friday. Just do that. You're practically there already.
Well, no, it's a Wednesday to Wednesday con. But they should just means Wednesday to following Tuesday. So that way it's 7 full days.
That's why you just make it the week.
Just make it a whole week, because at this point
that'll allow
everyone's
people.
There already.
It's like Labor Day is Monday, which will help people who are traveling home.
Mm-hmm. We didn't get to use the pool as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, especially on when after the con, there was this one group that was just monopolizing the hot tub. Like, they were not getting out. They had some friends come down, bring a freaking cooler full of drinks, and it's like, yeah, they ain't.
And playing their own music. That was like the other part. I was like, oh,
it's like, I understand, but seriously, people, like,
some class.
Yeah, really.
Although, to be fair, we also got a fair bit of, when we were in the gaming hall, one of the nights. That was funny.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so I'm sitting down to it's not Blaze Blue. It's, like it, though. If you know Blaze Blue, then you'll know what kind of fighting game it is. And we're playing, it's like, Wolfie Panda and I, and we're going, it's like, they have chairs set up behind the chairs at the thing so people can sit down and be like, hey, I got next game. And no one was there. So it's like, I'm going and, beating Panda every time.
Beating him for 9 rounds. Then on the 10th round, Panda left, and I sat down. And
I moved, and you were fighting Panda, so I was sitting in the seat behind you.
Yeah.
And then this guy comes out from nowhere, goes, we can cut in, right? And I'm like, where'd you come from? And it's like, yeah, fine. He's like, I just started.
I just sat down.
It's
like bite me. It's
And
kind
it's
of
like, and their friend apologized for them. It's like, they're drunk, we're sorry. It's like, it's fine. It's just like, we didn't know you were there.
You
Okay?
weren't sitting there.
If you're, even if they were there the whole time, hanging out in the shadows in a large arcade area and going, they're not letting us play, when you have done nothing to let these people who are, absorbed in the game, because we don't play fighting games like this.
Yeah.
Just be like, when you get there, go like, hey dudes, we're here too. It's like, we're like, cool, yeah, well, you'll get the winner. Instead of like you're going to let us cut in, right? It's like, dude, take a chill pill.
Seriously. It's like 3 a.m. Can you calm down?
Yeah, just calm your shit down.
But they were fantastic. The gaming area was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get to see as much as I would have liked to because
there's some new rhythm games I hadn't played yet, which was nice.
And they also had 3 Taito drums games, which was
because that's a popular one.
Yeah, that's popular, and people actually did. Where all 3 of them were playing it, and they had some. Really, I didn't try it because both times I was in my sandals, and I can't really do that.
Yeah.
The dance game that I hesitate to call it a dance game. It's more like, what's the Kinect game we play?
Oh yeah, those ones. Just Dance.
Yeah, it's like Just Dance.
Yeah, I haven't played those ones either.
But things there's the one where it's got a lot of jumps and ducks, and you got to step over to one side or step over to the other side.
It's like, so instead of a dance pad with buttons on it, it's more like motion censored. So it's got this big area that is basically walled off by parts of the game with a mat and everything and you dance in front of it. They've had that several years. I haven't done it.
Not only is it a mat, but the thing is it's lit up underneath you, which is why you can't wear high heels. You can't wear anything with a small compression point, because it'll damage the pad. But the pad's touch sensitive, so as you're stepping on it, the light is lighting up different colors underneath you, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I was kind of miffed that I didn't go there with my sneakers on, because I was most of the nights after I'd done all my sneaker walking, I was like, I'm going to
true sneakers. I want to be comfortable.
I want to be comfortable.
You could have done it barefoot.
I probably could have done it barefoot.
I'm pretty sure plenty of people were.
It certainly would have been, no worse than some of the other people that I was watching. I watched a couple of people playing Dance Dance Revolution barefoot, and I'm like, more power to you. I feel for your shin splints. But then, the Masquerade. Look, I'm going to be...
the obelisk costume made a guest appearance at the beginning. That was nice.
I am going to attempt to be kind here.
We use the mute button a lot.
Yeah. As a thought going out to people who actually want to enter masquerades, 2 things. Brevity is the soul of wit. Your 3-hour long, don't do. If you are a single person, 90 seconds is the absolute most you should be on stage unless something happens important. Don't do full songs. Don't do bad lip sync versions of full songs.
Please.
Don't sing your own part if you can't sing.
Please.
And I swear to you that I'm nice. The costumes were really, really nice. Mm-hmm. I did not need a 3-minute Disney song to go with it. And to then have a costume change at the end. I'm like, okay, it's like, find an editor, get a set of eyes on it, to the masquerade, the masquerade, what do you call it? To the people in charge of the masquerade. A hard limit of 90 seconds for any single costume, and 2.5 minutes on the outside for a group of 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. Is not unreasonable in the slightest. We do not need to see... I understand that every cosplay thing is a form of amateur hour. Most of these people are not professionals.
And that's fine.
Also, pro tip from someone who's done this before. One of 2 things. Either you have a skit, or you have an extensive, exhaustive explanation of what your costume is made of and how you did it. Not both. For the love of all that's holy, I don't need to know how many stitches went into your seam, and then to listen to your, to listen to your badly off-key rendition of a particular Disney song. I understand that this information may seem important or impressive. In the modern era, it is not. It is all of the, well, this costume was handmade using Eva foam and, stuff found around the house.
And yeah, that's important information for the judges to know, to judge you. They have that on paper.
Right.
You don't need to say it.
You don't need to tell. The other thing is that, like, the only time this type of cosplay, this type of presentation cosplay, wherein you discuss all of the parts of your cosplay, do not, in every other competition I've ever known about real world cosplay competitions, you do one or the other. You're either trying to go for the stitch count, or you're going for your rendition of something. You can't combine both, because by the time you've done both, the audience, meaning us,
has checked
are
out.
bored to tears. Always leave them wanting more. The longer you're on stage, the more likely we are to nitpick, because we're getting a good look. Now we're sitting there looking for things to find wrong with it, and that's the other thing.
Because we're bored.
Because we're bored. And in the spirit of being nice, you also want to be nice to the audience.
Your audience will thank you.
In general,
for those who know this DragonCon tidbit, we were asking for Sword Guy to come back. That's how bad it was this year.
Because it was I have to do a full cover of a song of a song. I have to do the full Broadway version of a song. I have to do it was ridiculous. I couldn't understand. Like, pull a couple of verses out. These are not particularly hard songs. Learn to edit your own music. Get someone else to edit the music for you. Try and grab someone from the tech crew and see if they'll edit it too. Also, to the showrunners of the Masquerade, we seriously need to coordinate. You need to coordinate between your judges, your guests, your hosts, the tech, and the costumers, because y'all are having some sophomore level shit that I've seen at LunaCon going back. Yeah, LunaCon, a con
going back decades ago.
A con 1/80th the size of your con. Going back to the pre-2000s.
Yeah, there's really not an excuse.
There's no excuse. There is no excuse for you to not have someone who can speak tech, who can sit down with each costumer as they enter the thing and go, okay, from your point of view, what are you doing?
Right. And if the costumers are divas about it and can't find the time to do it, then I guess you can't find the time for them on stage.
Right. Because the other thing is that in all seriousness, watching the talking over music, talking over dialogue, the hosts don't know when to come in, the costumers don't know when to come in, the tech don't know when to start the music. This was pathetic. Mm-hmm. This is seriously, this is unbecoming of a con your size with your budget.
And you've done better in other years, so
right.
It's not like we don't know you can't do it.
Right. I have been out of the cosplay game for a long time. I'm for relatively longer than I'd like to be. But part of this does not make me want to jump back in. This would absolutely be like, I've seen cosplays that are really, really good cosplays that had their tech completely ruined, which I know what that feels. No, but I know how that feels. I know the disaster that is. The wrong cue goes off. Your lights go off. You don't get to do what you want. And that is crushing to the cosplayer. And the cosplayers get angry. Been there, done that. When you have more of the tech involved, and it doesn't have to be the entire tech crew coming down. I understand that
just have the tech supervisor,
right? Like someone who speaks the language, someone from the tech crew who understands how they do the cues.
Have some form of educated liaison from tech,
right? Even if you can't do a proper rehearsal, which I understand is probably not feasible. I'll be the first to admit that. It's in smaller cons, you can sometimes divide up the time to say, okay, on this afternoon when there's really nothing else happening, we'll do run-throughs. I understand that this is difficult. What I'm suggest, however, is to get a person there into a small room and go, okay, the stage, even if it's the room the size of approximately what the stage is, so that a person who is a tech person can watch the person come out and go, I'm going to, okay, this is, my music, like, so that they can, the costumer, because most costumers don't speak a lick of tech. They're like, turn on my music, I'll come out, blah, 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 I'll do a bunch of stuff and turn off, not remembering that they have a silent gap, which means that as soon as the tech person hears this noise is going to stop, they stop the tape. Happened during this past one. There was a gap where there was nothing was spoken and there was no music, so the tech people just went to turn it off, and then the sound started up again. So having some eyes on this is important, because that was purely amateurish. It seemed amateurish. It seemed like every LunaCon that I had to suffer through, and believe me, that was where I cut my teeth on a lot of cosplay stuff. It was like most of them, until we fixed the tech problem where we actually grabbed we actually made sure that we had some form of rehearsal. It wasn't a full-on rehearsal. It was just this, it was literally,
what are you going to do?
Each costumer comes out and goes, I'm going to do this, like the music turns on here, I'm going to come out here, the lights go off here. And we had a masquerade with literally one problem that nobody realized was a problem, and that the cosplayers involved apologized because they couldn't make the rehearsal, which was understandable, but they were actually very, very thankful that it went off as well as it did, despite the fact that they had no idea what they were doing. Because a lot of a lot of the tech people are seeing this thing for the first time going, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. Play tape A. Also, jumping back to another thing for cosplayers. The other reason why cosplayers, you don't want to use your entire large sections of severely copyrighted a la Disney, is that if your video, if you want to post a video of yourself on YouTube, you won't be able to, because somebody's going to jump on that and copyright it like this.
Or it'll just get caught by the algorithm and be chopped off right there.
So the thing is, for your own benefit, so that Facebook or YouTube won't immediately strike down your video for having copyright stuff in it. This is an important factor, and don't use an entire song, because if you're using an entire song, you are just guaranteeing that you are going to have something go wrong.
Yeah.
But beside from that, it was just some of it was painful. Some of it was point blank painful.
Pro tip to Robin, do something. Standing on a prop for 3 minutes is not something. Do something. Your costume looked awesome.
I'm sure.
I'm sure it was... honestly, it's like, no. Like, the craft on your costume is great. If you want to just come out, show yourself, and go, fine. Don't stand on a crate for 3 minutes.
If there was a tech problem, the thing about that is that don't freeze. If the music's not coming up, go up there, pose, move. Don't stand in the same position.
I don't think it was a tech problem, though.
I have no idea.
I mean, honestly, just the way it seemed like I'm going to stand here with my foot on my prop crate and do nothing. I'm brooding like Robin. It's like, I don't care if it's in character. It's like...
It's entirely possible. No, the problem is that, and I've been there. I mean, again, seen this. I've seen this because I could pull up videos from previous masquerades where this has happened. At LunaCon LunaCon is a microcosm, but again, if the con 1/80th the size can make it work, you can do it too. But the thing is that if your music doesn't come on, this is one thing. If your music doesn't come on, if something happens, wing it.
Yeah,
that's all I can tell you.
Do something.
Move. Don't just stand there brooding, hoping that something will just come on. Wing it, and then
even run with it. Like, if it's not happening the way it is in character, react to it.
Exactly.
At least that's something.
And the thing
people get a chuckle out of it. It's not what you need, but you know what? It's showmanship.
And this year was not particularly bad for this. This year was actually not that bad for this, but whoa, people! Just another pro tip for costumers. Remember that your costume does not end until you are off stage and the spotlight goes off. So when you're done with your cosplay, don't stalk off the stage. Don't limp off the stage. There's just one meander back there. No, walk with purpose. Stay in character until you're out of sight.
And if you want to see an excellent example of exactly what to do, the furry guy this year.
Yeah. it's the thing about it is like you stay in character until nobody can see you. Once nobody can see you, you can stalk to your heart's delight.
Yeah.
Have an exit strategy. Oh my god! And this year was actually really
Another good
that.
example is the skeleton in the spacesuit from the Scooby-Doo group.
Yeah.
Like, stops in the middle of the stage, music stop, looks at the audience, goes, ah, and then runs off. That was perfect.
Exactly. The in previous years though, we've had costumes that like the problem is that your mentality is you get onto the stage and you forget that once you're done performing, you have to leave.
There are no curtains to cover your exit.
Yeah, there's no they don't draw the curtains between the cosplays. So, and again, I mean, this is a major pro tip is you will actually get major back of the head points from people when you leave like your character. Mm-hmm. If you are playing a dark wizard or something and you swirl your cape as you leave, around you, just flutter your cape as you leave. Leave with purpose. Leave, I mean,
it's awesome.
It makes for a memorable exit. Exit memorably. But don't for the love of God, don't overstay your welcome.
Please don't. Please don't.
Because this year was genuinely painful to watch. And this is not a disrespect to any of the cosplayers. There were no costumes.
You got up, you made your costume.
There were no costumes
that means a lot.
There were no costumes that made me literally go, "What the fuck?" But I mean, and there were none of the costumes were bad. Mm-hmm. None of the costumes were bad. It was like, and there were some really really good cosplays in there that were hampered more than helped by your skit. Just my thought for everyone out there anyone out there who's watched this, who's actually been in it or has watched the Masquerade. Just stop and think about the fact that there's a certain point where after about 90 seconds, I mean, it's actually usually, most of the time, I was told years ago, 1991, we were working on a skit and we were still trying to hammer out the skit as we're like literally 20 minutes before going on stage. And, oh no, I'm sorry, we did that was actually, we actually had a rehearsal that year because that was one of the years where tech didn't mess up. That tech actually got it right most of the time. But we had one of the master level cosplayers. She comes down to us, Animal X, and she just says, "You're overthinking it. You don't want to." Because we were actually going to pre-record something. This was another thing. If you have spoken dialogue, pre-record it. If you have an intro, if it's short, pre-record it. If not, that's fine. Let the narrator go in. Let the host narrate. Do not always sound out phonetically what they're going to say. A little of parentheses, or a super text it as far as over it, writing exactly what's pronounced phonetically, because there were a couple that were butchered.
And honestly, that's not the host's fault for not knowing how to say some obscure nerd thing.
Yes. It is, and they're doing their best, but the thing is that she told us that, like you want to tease the audience rather than the worst thing you can do is have the audience go next, and sadly,
we were doing that a lot.
We had someone in our room and he was just like sitting there with his jaw on the floor going, "Why are they still on stage? What is this? When is this going to end?" This is just not. This is something.
Again, it's like the Scooby-Doo group is another example of how to do a longer skit well.
And they weren't on stage very long either.
No, for the size they weren't. But it's like at no point were we like, okay, get on with it. They were doing some, a short recreation of the chase scenes in the intro, and their beginning is a little harsh because I took them a bit to find their groove. But once they did, they were running on and off stage, and it worked.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is that it was actually a really, really good cosplay. Definitely worth Best in Show. But there were a couple that I don't want to single out anyone because that's just mean.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of times where I was just like, really, why are you still here? Like we've seen everything about your cosplay that we possibly can,
and more than we wanted to.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, okay, this is pretty, but it's also a hard time limit might actually allow you to get a couple more cosplayers on stage.
Yeah, because there's that too.
It's nice that everyone wants to rush to see Duck Dodgers, but
pro tips: DragonCon, stop running that.
Traditions are great, but they're also I understand tradition. It's also the first number in Fiddler on the Roof. That's about the best I can say for it.
And it's not about traditions being great.
Yeah, so that was the one of the low lights of the convention in a way. Although it was hilarious for us. So, I mean, in a sense, we're sitting in our room like guffawing at the ridiculousness of some.
I mean, we've made it a tradition for our DragonCon at this point.
Just, yeah, get drunk.
The DragonCon drinking, the masquerade drinking party. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Chewie wasn't able to make it.
Which is sad. But the other thing this year was I have another hard lesson learned in doing the pie dispensing this year was a pain. It was an absolute. It wasn't a disaster. It was just a bunch of little disasters that could have made it a bigger disaster.
Yeah.
But I will admit that hearing the feedback from your
fans,
peers, the peers.
Oh, right.
Is not necessarily as important as hearing the feedback from the people who actually enjoy the thing you do.
Right.
Which makes me kind of appreciate how some people can be complete idiots online too. But besides that, the thing of so after many suggestions over the years, I entered the apple pie moonshine contest and received extremely excruciatingly low scores. What was kind of amusing is that when we
tried the competition,
some of the competition was really good, mm-hmm. and I still think that the blackberry, it was blackberry, right? Was it blackberry or blueberry?
I think it was one of the two.
One of the two.
Very smooth, very good.
Very smooth, very good. Should have been the top.
Of all things, the pumpkin pie moonshine was really good.
Really good. Really weird.
Weird. It was also delicious.
It was also very thick.
Yeah, I mean, it's pumpkin pie. That I can, like, it felt right being that thick. But, yeah, that was good.
And then there was the coffee liqueur with the rum, which was delicious. Rum. I don't care, but it was still delicious. But I tried some of the other apple pies, and I was like, some of them were... Mine was described as cloying, and I still find that hilarious.
Better as a sipper and cloying.
And the thing's, it's too syrupy. Now, I will grant you that the too syrupy I can completely understand, because I did cook the mix a little too long, and it's not like you can thin it out too heavily without affecting the flavor again. And I probably didn't let it. Yeah, cloying is kind of funny because. Okay, so that was the one of the 1-2 punch. The two was Saturday night. I'm looking to assemble the pie dispenser, and sure enough, the pie dispenser.
He had assembled this nice hose with a new spout on it and everything. It was great. And what did he do?
I left it here.
Yep.
So I was so done with the day that I didn't decide. I just said, screw it. I'm going to stay in the room, and I didn't actually go out and do the stuff that I was planning on doing. Life is life. But
on Sunday we still went out.
I actually jury-rigged something else.
He stole a spout from
Sleazy.
From his horrible goblin rocket fuel.
Yeah. And things.
And basically, instead of dispensing pie, he became a
pie dispenser.
Yeah.
I literally mobile pie dispenser. So I just had people.
Here's your cup. Turn. Here's your spout.
Yeah, exactly. It's pour your own. And that worked out. It worked out great. I still will use the pie dispenser hose in future. But I will
forget it again.
I will. Yeah. No. The thing is, I also have to dress it up a little bit more. But I did decide that we're going to probably keep that as a backup just in case something goes wrong again. Because God knows.
But I think your backpack this year worked a lot better than previous backpacks.
It is funny though that the ability to just I mean it's probably better to as much as I hate to say this, I might be taking the collapsible container to do the transporting, because it actually will be, you can actually pour it easier into the other things, although we also need a funnel. We never bring a funnel. Oh my god, the thing is you forget to bring.
Yeah,
but people loved it.
Yeah. People left and right. And then when we said, it's like, yeah, he didn't even place in the pie contest. And they're like, what?
They're all like, it's fixed.
It's
all fixed, because this is some of the best pie I've had.
All con. And this is Sunday night. So they've had plenty of time to try pie. They're not saying this is the best pie I've had all con on Friday. This is on Sunday, which means they've had all the pie the con has to provide them. There were a
couple of other pie people who were tasting mine and were like, this is absolutely delicious. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm kind of like, I don't really... I put zero stock now in trying to win the pie competition. Mm-hmm. I may still enter it again. I don't really care. I'm not going to bust my hopes about trying to impress people who I don't need to impress, when I only need to impress the people in the lobby of the Marriott, frankly.
And our original fan.
And an
because she
original
is
fan.
awesome.
And what's funny is I gave her the mason jar that, in order to submit the pie for the pie contest, you have to actually give them a mason jar full of pie. I just gave her the mason jar full of pie. Like,
here you go.
Here, fill this up. Here, you now have our number one fan now gets her supply of pie.
It's her own personal supply.
And we gave out a gallon and plus. We gave out like almost almost 2 gallons. We gave out almost 2 gallons of pie. And
we had Safi down the floor with us for a lot of it, so that was our first time being with the pie dispensing.
Yep. And next year we're just up. See, that's the thing, is that like we get back from DragonCon, and that was really that pushed it into the thing of everything I really wanted to accomplish at the con. I did. So I entered the pie contest, didn't place, don't care now. Gave out pie, went out to the pie, did my pie hatter bit, saw a steam powered giraffe. Went to the dealer's room, didn't blow a ton of money. Bought another lightsaber.
Did you make the art show?
Not the art show. I went up to the Artist Alley.
I made the art show.
I bought a bunch of stuff at Artist Alley, and it kind of like...
Yeah, like I would love to... I mean, it'd be good to go up there, but I'd be tempted to buy the Star Powered's new book if they had any, and...
No,
as much as I love those guys, I need to not spend money.
What he needs to do is the future Dragon Cons is just give me your wallet when you do this. Like, don't give this to me no matter how much I want it. I was like I was watching this, like, get back here. I was like, this man stole my wallet. Like, nope, don't have his wallet on him.
But I know, it's like, even though, and what's nice is, Cubby told me that even the video game vendors that are usually there didn't really have anything, which is good. It's because always, if I had gone, I wouldn't have been tempted, but you never know which will fall.
And I had more of a budget. You know, I had a budget this year. I had like a couple of grand I could have spent, and I didn't, which was good. But I left the con feeling good. I left the con feeling like accomplished, relaxed and accomplished, which was so really weird. Which is why when I came home, I was kind of like noticing, I'm going, you know, I don't feel that usual like emotional morass that I usually find myself in after con.
I mean, for me, it helped that I was literally like the day after we got back, starting a new job.
That will tend to deflect a lot of the post-con depression. You don't have time. New job, you're starting new.
Not sure if they're all muggles or not. I'm pretty sure they're not straight muggles, but
they may be muggly here.
Honestly,
and there,
it's like this. I'm still training. Like, even though I'm a week and 2 days in, it's still training. But it's amazing. Like, people like to knock on, like, oh yeah, corporate work is bad. And it's like, and it can be. But honestly, it's like what I've been saying is, by comparison to where I've worked before to where I'm going to be working now, it's like the difference between Uncle Bubba's boat and the Enterprise.
So, the things we got back, and one of the other things is that we hit the ground running, because of course, you know, the hotel, I've already got my membership for next year, and the hotel...
Unfortunately, it's still kind of up in the air whether or not I'm able to go next year, because I don't know where I'll be as far as in a job, and if I'll have time I can take off to do it.
Right, so...
But...
we'll play out one by ear.
That's still a year away. I still have to ingratiate myself at my company and get hired on full, because I am a contractor right now.
But we're making progress. This is progress.
I have high hopes, because apparently they really liked me, and when you consider that they let me start 2 days late...
And he came in like death. And he's still there. The general consensus, though, is that,
we've lost about 5 people already.
Yeah, wow. Really? Really? Wow. As far as, like, I'm prepping for DragonCon, and it's just so much less work this year, so I'm like, yay, it's less bullshit for me. So we're just gonna keep on plugging, and now we can actually get into the swing of, recording and getting stuff ready.
I have a regular 9 to 5. Well, it's really a 9 to 6, but
it's a real job, though. It's a regular job,
and it's not.
And it's just really easy commute.
Yeah, it's not emotionally draining either.
That's nice.
Like, you can remember when I've come home from my previous job, even though I get home like 5:36, I'm beat. I am drained. How have I been this past week when I've come home from work, aside from the obvious sickness?
Aside from the con grud, yeah, he's actually been, he comes home in a much, 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 much better state of mind. So it's definitely impressively, we're not dying here. So
I think that will do us. We're probably starting to run a little long.
Yep, we're probably, this is
the first chance we got to actually talk about our con experience to somebody who wasn't there with us. So
exactly.
we ramble on.
Until next time, I'm Old Man Wolfie.
I'm Monty Squigs.
We'll
See you later.